And I guess
Cheers.
we'll see you then.
Cheers. Why the f did you use a Corona bottle? We had 2 Corona bottles. You have one fucking. I just want to be the diva of this group. You know, it makes me feel like dude, nobody can tell in the video.
That is the piece that's going to be our intro now.
Cling, clang, clang,
Clink,
clang,
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 Clink, clink.
Hello and welcome to Strange Happy Hour. After a 1-week hiatus, not our fault, kind of our fault.
Totally your
doesn't
fault.
really matter. It's this man's fault.
It's mostly his fault and the backup's fault.
Correct. I am one of your hosts, Brent, the Jesterhead Metcalf. Along to my left,
The dispatcher, Mark Clover.
and to my other left,
Handsome John.
do you have something to say?
You're full of shit.
I was going to say you should apologize to our audience, sir,
For what?
for missing an episode.
Oh, how dare I?
We apologize for missing last week, but we are here this week to talk to you about everything. Really, only 3 topics. It's the typical thing. You know how this works. We do have a long list of cut content down in the description below that includes a bunch of news stories that are very interesting, including Sony bringing real-life loot boxes to the San Diego Comic-Con, if you're there this weekend. It looks like Ubisoft has released the entire set list for their Uplay Plus on PC, coming out September 3rd?
Yeah,
Sounds about right. Along with the Mortal Kombat movie reboot news. But again, check out those articles below because they're kind of small. They're interesting. We wanted to touch base on them, but it's really not important enough for us to talk on this show because we have to talk about
The important shit.
God, it was one of the best intros I've had going in there. I just want to.
There's a lot of build-up.
A lot of
Okay,
energy.
thank you.
I like it.
Thank you. It's almost like taking a week off has rejuvenated me. I'm not sick at all. This
Yeah.
nasal,
this nasally
nothing.
sound from both of us, which I totally blame him for. You know that.
No, not at all. It's the Great White Canada. Blame Canada.
The Canada.
Let's go ahead and go to our dispatcher to talk about Amazon because this is the second of 2 Prime Days we are recording on,
Yeah.
and this is the news that's relevant.
Absolutely. So, as possibly I would imagine everybody knows, Monday and Tuesday this week have been Prime Day.
Yep.
And I know I've bought tons of things because, I do
We
enjoy
indulge.
the deals and, the quick shipping and all that
Lavish
nonsense,
for the
that kind of thing. Oh. No, but it's a good time to find things that I know I've needed anyway and get decent deals on them, that kind of thing. It's also nice because apparently a lot of other websites start running deals for things that you just didn't expect, so that works out in
Yeah.
your favor too. So I start building wish lists for that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, there's a dark side to all of this.
Of course.
Everyone from the consumer side always sees the light side, but from the employee side, there's quite a dark side that's been brewing, and it's kind of exploded on Prime Day because it's the perfect time to target Amazon. Prime Day or Amazon workers have very subpar working conditions whenever it comes to working in the fulfillment centers and the warehouses specifically. The warehouses apparently aren't as terrible, but the fulfillment centers are bad because the quotas. I'm assuming you're wondering.
Whenever you get a second. It's time.
The quotas that they have to fulfill are rather exceptional.
Yeah. Well, not only that, like the way they track it, like you have
Yeah.
a personal PDA essentially
Yep.
you use, and it monitors your steps. If you take a bathroom break, you have to monitor it through there. If you stop moving, they come and talk to you and buzz
so
you.
many
So
packages
it's
per
not
second.
even that. It's literally just the rate of how many orders are fulfilled per hour. So their old rate, apparently, as of a couple of months ago, was only about 100 or 120. Or 120 was the number I saw. The new rate, prepping into Prime Day, with everybody exploding, is 280.
Get
Oh,
over
man.
it. Are you kidding me?
They want an order fulfilled roughly every 10 to 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But what that means is, so in an Amazon fulfillment center, anyway, to give you the background, there are 2 different types of people. There are stowers and pickers. Stowers are the people who take the incoming things that come from the warehouses or from the individual manufacturers and stock the shelves or stow them onto the respective organized shelves across a vast Amazon
Very
warehouse.
large warehouse.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the fact that everything that you find pretty much on Amazon can be at your door within 2 days,
It's
or
very
the fact
close.
that some of them can be done in the same day or the next day because literally they just take it off of the warehouse or the fulfillment center that's right there in your neighborhood, or I say neighborhood,
put it
but
on a van.
in your area.
And you're gone.
Put it on a bin and box it up to be shipped to you like within the same day.
I guess for a little bit of context here, at a small warehouse, which I would argue your
Yeah.
job has a small warehouse, at best, fast walking, 10 to 20 seconds get you from one end to the other. And this is not a small warehouse.
No.
No, it would take me probably a solid minute to cross the
Right.
warehouse.
That's fine.
And this is not a small warehouse.
This is the
Yeah.
kind of thing. Now, I know you and I both watched John Oliver anyway.
Yes.
He just did a piece on this.
Oh, he did a wonderful piece on it.
Where
watch
there
it
was
then.
there was an interview
After this
done.
episode, you should watch it.
There was an interview done with an elderly man who was working there. I say elderly, older anyway, gentleman who was working in a fulfillment center. Who said on average he walked about 12 to 15 miles a day to go from one end to the other of a warehouse, back and forth fulfilling orders, and that was it.
Now, just to get this into perspective, that's 5,000 feet per mile.
Yeah.
And your normal stride is, on average, anywhere between 5 to 6 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
That's-
That's 1,000
that's
paces
a-
a mile. That means he took at least 15,000 paces. Now, granted, we've broke 30,000.
But that was for a very specific cause that we were on.
No, I
Right.
mean I was doing
Now-
that at work.
Okay.
Now imagine doing that in an 8 to 10 hour shift for 40 hours a week.
Oh man, it's killer.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like, and especially for somebody who's older. I mean, like, we're in our 20s. Like we could probably handle that kind of thing.
I
But
wish.
30s.
30s.
In my 20s. Thank you.
I'm trying to keep you young. No, but I can't imagine trying to work in that kind of condition.
Yeah.
But it's mostly the quota that ends up weighing down on them. So if they start
Yeah.
to get tired, if they need a restroom break, if they need literally anything, if they have to stop for water, immediately that kills their quota. Now, the bigger problem, apparently, is that if you start falling into the red, you have 3 stages, green, yellow, and red. And if you start falling into the red, which means your quota is below, I think it's 75%, or so it's some arbitrary number that they've thrown out. They don't have anything specific, of course. If you start going into the red, apparently you have to have a conversation with your manager. And it's an unspoken 4 strikes, you're out.
Wow.
To put this in perspective, over the course of a year, apparently the one in Baltimore, the fulfillment center in Baltimore, had fired about 300 employees over the course of a year
Jesus.
for failure to meet quota specifically.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Dude, get fast or get out.
So that's the point. On the other
We're
side
not
of
all
this,
Sonic, okay?
like a lot of economists say that this is the most efficient way to, like, your productivity is through the roof, because to achieve the same amount of productivity from similar companies anyway, they have to hire double the staff.
Yeah.
Like FedEx, for example. Anyway,
Yeah.
now a lot of their stuff, is computerized now anyway, and it's done through scanning the boxes as they go through the conveyor belts. But they have to hire double the staff to meet the same amount of throughput. Like, just because they don't want to run their people ragged like that. But Amazon has no problem doing this.
Well, Amazon also just gets temporary workers and throws them in the mix, and these guys aren't like prepped or built just to deal with this all of a sudden. So a lot of them are built; they're made to fail.
Yep.
They're like, we're using you, and then after you fail, we're going to toss you.
Pretty much. But because for them anyway, it's easy to, because Amazon does offer great benefits whenever you look at it on paper. From an upfront perspective, you make $15 an hour as a picker or a stower. You have a 401k. You have benefits. It's a full-time employment facility. You work 10 it's a 10 by 4 instead of a 5 by 8 scenario. So you actually get more days off anyway in a row. So you kind of do it in a shorter burst.
It helps you have a second job.
But it does wear you out to be there for that last 2 days, that kind of thing. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you want a second job, you can go for one. But they actually have, by their standards anyway, they actually pay you pretty well. They actually give you or take care of you pretty well. But it's just the working conditions are terrible. So I guess the main question to be posed here is this really a problem, or or are these people actually, at this point anyway, it's not like it's old news.
Do you feel like it's unethical?
Right. Do you feel like it's out of place for them to do this? Do you think that they should treat their employees better, or should the people who are going in there now just sort of know that this is what the work ethic looks like? Because there are still people who are doing this, even though the employees are going on strike.
So I think there's 2 points here that I want to jump in with real quick. Like, one,
Get up in that.
their advertising for the positions is skewed. Because
100%.
if this is the case, if this is what you're looking for, you should advertise as such, which they don't.
We're looking for high energy
Correct.
individuals.
Instead, it's a very much we're a family, we're all working together, you can come
We're
here
understanding.
and all be as
Right.
one, which is not the case. Obviously, their Baltimore office is firing 300 people for not meeting quotas.
And Minneapolis was the key strike location, essentially, where I think they said they had half the staff out for 6 hours or 8 hours during Prime Day.
Good.
Oh, dude,
they were
that's-
pulling out from their unpaid time off. By the way, they don't have paid time off.
Yeah. And they're not allowed to fire them for that legally
Because it was a formal strike?
because it's a leave, and they're not. Again, he's saying they're pulling from unpaid time off. So they're requesting that time off. It's been approved. They're allowed to take
Right.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
themselves.
they said that, like, we're allowing this is fine.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like Epic when they're like, or I'm sorry, not Epic, Riot Games.
Yeah.
They're like, we
Right.
stand
yep,
with the people.
You go do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fuck
I guess the point is it's funny, one, to me, that Amazon just seems to not, like, there is no official company statement that seems to come out. For this.
Correct.
The Verge, whenever they had an
Except
article
for
that came out of
Bezos,
this.
who's just like,
Well,
they can leave
yeah,
anytime they want.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bezos actually doesn't make any major official remarks
Yeah.
on this regard because
Why?
he just doesn't respond. That's just
What's
how
the
he
point? It hit like, all right. So any city that comes, I mean, if you remember the bidding process for when Amazon was trying to get bidded for our town, you okay?
Go ahead. You're right.
You're right.
Go ahead.
The
Why don't you finish your point, and then I'll jump in one.
with the bidding process, they are ruthless. I mean, they are a
Yeah.
company and they are here to make money. And everybody else is super happy because they're like, oh, jobs, jobs, jobs. And it's like, yeah, that's great. But, you know, when it comes down to your work ethic, and to be honest, I've been in these facilities and people do not move fast. They just don't. I've not been in the fulfillment facility, so I can't speak for that in general, but I have been in a warehousing facility. And, you know, people there aren't necessarily, like, unhappy, but they're not happy either. But
I think
it is very busy. I mean, there's a lot going on, and I think that if you advertise to the right people, they would be a lot happier.
Agreed.
And you would
Yeah.
have a lot stronger of building a base. But because they use so many temporary workers, it's just everything's so in flux all the time. And it's like they build a system around that flux
Yeah.
because they have to. They don't have a choice.
There's a news story that broke yesterday, actually, because I was taking my little pup to the vet.
Oh.
And I was listening to it on NPR about Amazon in Germany. And currently in Germany,
Yeah.
they're actually going on a major strike, and it is having all kinds of implications for the company because in Germany, they have, like, culturally, it is understood that companies take care of their employees.
Yeah.
Like, and
Oh.
from the standards of which those companies take care of their employees compared to Amazon, it's not even close.
I'm trying to bring an American corporation over there where there is no taking care of the employee here.
Yeah.
You know, it's a special thing when you find a company that actually
Yeah.
takes care of the
I just want you
employee.
to know there's a union Walmart in Germany.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Yes.
As a former Walmart employee, my favorite part was first day, the fact that they showed me union bashing videos.
Of course, yeah.
You
Hit
right there,
it-
bud?
yeah, that felt good. That hit you right in the juggernog, right, in the juggernog. It's a juggernog little thing. It doesn't matter.
Anywho,
Yeah, so it is fascinating to watch the different dichotomies here because we have another country who's arguably economically, societally, like education-wise, like Germany's up to snuff. If you're
Right,
yeah.
if we were to
They're more
compare the
well-rounded.
global countries, Germany's towards the top with how they've handled their country in the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years. A couple of things not so great, but that's history.
Just don't go
literally.
too far.
Yeah. And so it's fascinating to listen to the discussion how it's completely different over there because over there it is this company's wrong, they need to fix it. And there's nothing like there is no middle ground here.
and it's
They're
a
wrong.
uniform or what's the unanimous decision
Correct.
amongst the people, politicians, and everyone against the company saying no, this is how this is going to work.
I have a hard time bringing about a truthful position because one, I've seen people around me not work nearly at my speed.
Yeah.
Does that mean that they are at fault for being so slow, or am I just that much faster? That's up for debate. I don't think they would have set those standards. I think they're trying to get their bang for their buck is what they're doing.
100%.
Yeah.
So they're saying, yeah, you're getting paid $15 an hour, but you are going to work. And we want you to work while you're here. And we said, and we've tested this. I'm sure they put a whole lot of effort
Ooh, God,
into
yeah.
figuring out exactly how many boxes that they could do and what would be reasonable for
Right.
the timelines that they should be doing it. If you're not goofing around and you're not dancing around, floating around, throwing packages everywhere like, the last Borderlands trailer, you'll probably be fine.
Yeah.
You probably actually could.
I want to live in Borderlands.
Huh?
I want to live in Borderlands.
That is entirely possible with VR.
Yep.
But I think that I think there needs to be a little bit more research into like what is technically fair and not fair in order to make a decision on that.
Yeah.
But I will say that they are going to push it to the limit, without a doubt. They want to make that dollar.
I think I'm on board with what you're saying with one caveat, which is
I love caveats.
I think they just need to change their marketing strategy for how they hire employees. Like that is my key thing. If your goal is to build a facility in which it is all these fast individuals, you want fast, efficient people only working for you,
Yep.
then market to them.
Right.
Don't tell, because again,
Even make up a thing saying you have to be, less than 250 pounds because you're going to be in straps, possibly on forklifts.
I mean,
It's legitimately a concern because a lot of these straps don't actually carry that kind of weight.
part of the interview process could be like, hey, we're going to time you. Like that's part of it. It has nothing to do with anything else, but you have to be capable of doing the job just like anything else. Like there
Yeah.
are plenty of other jobs that do require certifications that prove that you're capable of doing things. We don't really have certifications for speed of package sorting, but
Yeah.
having a little obstacle course of sorts. It sounds silly, but
No,
also
we actually have it at
out.
work. We actually have an obstacle course
See?
for testing.
Yeah.
For fitness.
Really?
Because they have to carry so many cases so often and in heat and
And that's important.
over again. Like so the case of soda weighs like 40 pounds, right? So, or I think it's like anywhere between 20 to 40. I think it's like 20 or 30 pounds. So they have to move that case from pallet to cart, cart to truck to cart to machine.
Oh,
So
yeah,
they are
yeah.
carrying that same thing 5-6 times in order to get it into something. Not even saying if they're pulling anything out.
And God knows that not every location is convenient.
Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
hike every single case up a stair.
Yeah.
And it's just like it can be grueling. And to be honest, heat stroke was a thing the past couple of years. They were handing out towels so that way people can stay cool. Like it was a nightmare.
But
Wow.
again, like that, the whole point is you have a system in place to ensure that any employee that's hired is
Right.
capable of doing the job.
Yeah, it's called
expectations are set.
Yeah.
yeah, expectations are set correctly whenever you start anyway. That you have to go through this test first.
Yeah.
And I agree. They should advertise it appropriately anyway, because the people who are actually willing to stick around for it and say,
Will totally do it.
yeah, fine, I'm willing to do this for $15 an hour, then they'll stick around for it. That kind of
Because
thing.
I mean, let's face it, there aren't a whole lot of places that are offering $15 an hour with a
No.
401k.
Yeah,
like
no.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of good, what?
So I guess a secondary question to pose anyway, and this should be a pretty straightforward one, is does this affect your decision as a consumer?
this is
Do
actually
I
not
still
a-
buy clothes from Taiwan? Yes, I do.
This is an interesting one because as we continue to grow and we learn more as a society, just with all of these various things. I mean, there was a wonderful expose.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. There's a wonderful expose years ago about Walmart and their clothes practice and like the countries they buy clothes from and
Made in the USA. You mean had the tag ripped off and then had a USA tag put
how
on?
terrible those practices are in other countries that they purchase from, and how it's completely legal.
There's actually if you want to watch it, there's a documentary on Netflix or HBO. I can't remember which one, but it's about Walmart and their business practices and what they've done, jean making and stuff like that, and the sweatshops that they run, the things how they try to negate the effects of inspectors over in other countries, trying to make sure their sweatshops are actually ran to code. And it's
What I buy from Walmart today is entirely products that are
produce at best.
no, not even that. I would never buy produce from them.
Well, like if I have to in an emergency, is
Yeah.
the only thing I'll go to Walmart for.
I will so we went to Canada for a business trip. That's why we missed a week. And in
just
Walmart,
lazy.
what I bought a package of like sparkling water that you can buy at any grocery store and a package of gummies. Like that's what I buy at Walmart. It's pre-packaged things that Walmart really doesn't profit off of because they're just selling that for the lowest dollar. I won't buy clothes. I don't buy produce. I don't buy
Yeah.
things that they can make money off of because I just don't trust them
Actually,
as a corporation.
I do buy one other thing, and that's a certain pair of pants, and that's because it is the most efficient pair of pants I've ever found in any other store because of the pockets that they are, the sizes that they are, and the locations. Is honestly strictly just for that, but yeah, I still feel guilty buying it. Let's put it that way.
To get back to Amazon, it's kind of similar to how I feel. Like there are products that are fairly prepackaged. Like I don't really buy Amazon basic stuff. I know they have a lot there.
Yeah.
I don't really purchase those products. I don't really purchase anything that they're producing. It is other things.
Right.
I still feel a little guilty sometimes. I do. Now, they also offer products that I can't find.
Right.
A 64 gigabyte memory card for a Vita, incredibly difficult to find without going to Asian websites.
Yeah.
Or going to very specific shops to try to find
No,
something if you wanted to
they
do
are
it.
not sold in the United States at all.
Interesting.
So I have to go somewhere online.
It's super sad.
Amazon
And it's still
offers
super expensive.
the same deal as other places, but I have a Prime membership and I get the free shipping. So
The day they turned into $50, it's going to be nabbing those.
Oh,
bad
I
boys.
have 2 right now, and there's a possibility of a 3rd in my future. I want to make sure I have downloaded every game I've ever bought on Vita because I don't trust you, Sony.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
You're a fickle bitch.
See, my problem is it's the same conundrum and the same question that I've always found myself in is, do I want to blame somebody? Do I want to take responsibility? Or do I want to say, our government should be better than this, knowing that these business practices are being held, plenty of evidence has been brought forth, nothing being done.
Yeah.
And should I be the one to take the stand? Should I have to sacrifice more for what
Can't
I
even
want?
see it because it's being outshined.
all of balanced, outshined. It's just, it's not really a question that has an answer because it truly is just a personal tone.
Yep.
So in my personal tone, no, I don't, because when I need a product, I try to be as consumer conscious as possible.
Yeah.
I will take things into account. Where it's made, what company is this? Is this company regarded as a positive company in the world? I go from there. If I'm like, I don't have a choice, that's what it is. I have a duty, I have an objective, and I need to accomplish it.
Yeah. See, my thing is that I almost fall in the opposite spectrum. I do pay attention to the individual companies anyway that produce the products. Unfortunately, Amazon provides literally the best e-commerce service available anywhere.
Yeah.
Like literally in existence. And the second place contestant is not even close by any kind of reasonable margin.
Yeah.
I will say any package I've ordered from Japan has been here faster than a package from like the next city over.
The Vita memory card I ordered said 2 weeks. It was going to be here on Thursday.
2 days.
2 days.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's
It
like they
I was
have
like-
a thoroughfare directly
Okay.
to your house.
Yep.
It is nuts.
But for me, it doesn't, like this Amazon issue just doesn't affect my purchasing decision because from an employee standpoint, I will let that market decide how that market is going to be determined.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's
if-
the employee's decision, you'll let them make
Yeah.
it happen.
Right.
I mean, you think about it. If it's too
realistically,
hard, they're not going to work there.
That's fine. They're on strike. If it really affected them that badly, I understand work situations. It's not easy always to find another job, but you'd be looking for another job. You wouldn't be standing out at a picket line to try to come back to the same company because you make $15 an hour. You'd be trying to get $15 an hour somewhere else.
Yeah.
I understand. Again, that's not always the easiest decision and not always the easiest thing to find.
But it's actually a good thing, too, because they're saying, I don't hate this company. I
Right.
just want some things to change.
Like the money of the 401k, the benefits are obviously worth it enough for them to stick around to try to change it.
Well, and that's why I always find the argument you're discussing to be interesting because most of the time I've heard that. I know you're not being mean-spirited.
Right, yeah.
You're genuine on your feelings here. But I've heard that argument being thrown as a means of like, well, if you don't like, I mean, similar to our president, if you don't like it here, you can leave. You can go somewhere else. But that's not the point. The
Right.
point is, I like it here, but it can be better.
No, yeah, but
And
the
we
company
is-
But that's the point. The market will decide
Correct.
that from that end.
But you have to understand too. They definitely had taken this into consideration that training is more expensive, is the most expensive part of any company. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. The fact that they have to they have such a high turnover and that training those individuals still cheaper doing it at the price point they are with those expectations
is nuts.
should mean something.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's bad. Have you ever tried to move these packages at that rate?
I mean, personally, no.
No. So, I mean, like, again, is it really that bad? They think so. But did the majority of them do it? Or is it just a headline that people are grabbing at because it's got Amazon's name in it and it's going
Oh
to be
yeah,
clickbait?
yeah. No, and I think it's the strike that's doing it more than anything because people are actually trying to be more vocal about it. And
But
I guess the other side of me, the other side of my mindset here, and I understand that the plight they're trying to go through, or that they're going through, and
I love being devil's advocate.
if it does come out the other end and it affects my service as a customer anyway with the company, yeah, I'm going to complain to the company. but I'm going to understand why.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put it back on these people to say, like directly to
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
oh, it's your
it's-
fault
it's
that my
your fault,
package is
yeah,
delayed. No.
It's Amazon's fault.
It's Amazon's fault
for not
that this
handling
happened.
their employees.
Right. They should
Yeah.
be able to take care of
Reconcile
them.
before this happens.
Right, exactly.
They had that choice, but they
If
chose
had
not
a,
to.
If they had a massive strike here in the Charlotte distribution center or fulfillment center, I would understand.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My stuff's not going to get here for a week because you literally don't have the people available because you're not treating them appropriately. Treat them better. They will come back to work, and then you can take care of my orders. In the meantime, I'm going to complain to you as the company for this.
Yeah. I got my 2-day shipping.
I also want to point out this is not the first time that Amazon has had issues with their labor force. This is one of many altercations.
The thing is,
it's
their
a s-
labor force isn't the only one having this issue. I mean, I have it at my
I
work.
agree.
It doesn't matter what economy you're in.
I mean, we've talked
You're
about
always going to
gaming
have someone
industry.
with a problem.
We've talked about the
Capitalist
gaming
corporate
industry over and
greed.
over
Oh
again.
yes, the gaming industry is horrible right now.
Yeah.
We've talked about that at length. It's just, what do you do? Do you just come to terms with like, I love video games and I'm still going to buy them?
Well, so it's interesting in that line. Granted,
Have we bought a Riot game? No.
have we bought any? When's the last?
Or put any money in a Riot game?
I put money in Anthem. That was before the expose
Yeah,
dropped,
I
and I
noticed
can
that.
tell you right now, Sea of Solitude came out, which is an EA published game, unfortunately by an indie studio that has nothing to do with EA.
Yeah.
and it looks wonderful. I refuse to buy it,
It actually got pretty low scores, which I was concerned. I was like, really? The imagery is beautiful.
but
Anyway.
I'm just not purchasing an EA product. The EA Play
After I got
service-
screwed, I bought the gold edition of
Anthem.
Anthem because I was like, you know what? I think that this is gonna. I should have known better. Never again. I keep saying, don't buy DLC up front. I freaking did it.
I also want to point out Amazon owns Twitch, and so there are a number of streamers that also decided to not stream today to stand out in
In
solidarity.
solidarity, baby.
Yep, with the other people.
Hey, I'm totally down with your voice. Your
Yeah.
voice is your voice, and if you even bring me a reasonable argument, I'll be like, all right, definitely put it in my consideration box.
Yep.
Like that's who I am. But like, I have yet to hear like any real like anything big from this. It's just all I'm working too hard, and I'm like, I work hard. I work really hard, and I see other people who are in the same condition that I am, and I'm like I can't speak for you because I have my own set of values,
Yeah.
my own set of work ethic.
The comparison that's been thrown around to some extent anyway is, the fight for fast food workers to try to make $15 an hour as a minimum wage
I
raise.
still have a problem with that.
But that's the difference is that they're
I think
saying
they should have a
like
pay
their
raise.
their work is nowhere near as intensive as an Amazon fulfillment center, and
Yeah.
realistically the pay gap is almost justifiable in that
So
respect
and then
because
know,
it's
Trump's voice.
it's
then go
simple
work there.
it's simple work, but it's much more physically demanding. So it's kind of a balanced system anyway.
The problem is, it's not where you work or how you work. It's whether you're being compensated for what you are doing. Again, if your normal balance
But that's
is supposed
ultimately-
to be 120 packages, and then you bump it up to 280, there should be an incentive involved.
Oh no! So they have power hours apparently, where
Yeah, I've
whoever
seen
the
this too,
highest
yeah.
performing fulfillment
Gets a gift
employee
card.
is gets an Amazon gift card. But apparently, it was for this absurdly low number of like $15 or $20.
Yeah.
But it's an Amazon gift card.
Yeah.
So, I mean, granted, if you are that driven, freaking bust it out. You're going to have, you said every hour?
No.
No,
It's not
it's
every hour.
select
It's
hours.
select time periods.
Oh, that's trash. If it was
yeah.
every hour, I would be like,
But-
that is amazing because you can earn like an
Yeah.
extra $200 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
no.
it's like, I'm buying groceries with this, boys. Get on my way.
I thought the funniest cycle would be you order something on Amazon, you go to work, literally have to fulfill your own order. But you do it in a power hour. You win that power hour
And you
fulfilling
pay
your
for
order, and then buy something else and have to fulfill that order afterwards, which would be great.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, as we talked about, this is seemingly corporate greed that follows through in various industries.
Define corporate greed, though. Like, where does the line get drawn? And I don't want to drag
We-
this out
we-
any
yeah,
longer
no,
than we
no,
need
we're
to.
done with that.
But
Well,
just
that's-
think about that, though. Like, I want to talk to you about it later, is my point.
You think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you think about that,
Let
but I
us-
definitely want to have a conversation with you. and you
There's
too.
a wonderful film with Michael Keaton called The Founder, which is about the
Oh, that's
beginnings
amazing.
of Michael Jackson McDonald's.
Michael Jackson.
McDonald's.
It's-
It's on Netflix. It's wonderful.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Watch it.
Mac Jackson.
It really puts a lot of things in perspective.
McDonald's is a real estate company, in case you didn't know. Moving on to
You want to go to me or do you do it?
We're going to you because this has been a long.
That was a big one, yeah.
Oh, man.
We're moving on to
No wonder you
another
wanted to move on.
large corporate entity known as GameStop, and they're changing their game, if you will.
Oh, that's right, baby. So right now they're doubling down on the realism of video games. They want to keep it out of the digital world and keep it in the real world, which makes sense because that's what they were built on. That's what everybody knows them for. They already have a name going out. So right now they're trying to create a new store concept that offers retro gaming. So they've had a really rough few years. Matter of fact, this past quarter, they had reported losses of over $500 million.
25% value loss.
Yes, it is horrible. Not to mention, that is also including the $700 million from selling Spring Mobile. So they were on track of losing $1.2 billion. Big monies.
Wait, wasn't Sprint also the company that?
Not Sprint,
Spring.
Spring.
Sprint.
It
Okay,
said
never mind.
Sprint on there. It's Spring Mobile.
Okay.
It's a typo. It's
Never mind.
It'll probably be in the description. Be prepared.
Yeah, no kidding, right? They want to change to a more of a unique experience in the store concept. So they're using a company called RGA. They're based out of New York. They've worked on a couple projects, like back in the early 2000s with Nike, where they had a system where the runners would track their system. They would be able to archive the history and share that running data with other people. So they've worked on stuff like this, where in the digital era with physical things. So
This advertising firm, right?
yes,
Yeah.
RGA from New York. They were actually they were founded in 1977. Can you believe they had a marketing company made in 1977?
Yeah.
Absolutely, and they have actually probably shown where their laurels are. Right?
Mad Men, man. Watch Mad Men.
I did. Isn't that a great show?
1950s.
Anyway,
So good.
So change to a new, unique
60s.
experience. They're wanting to get people into the store, so they're going to use this so that the way they can have. I'm going to put this down because it's clicking. It's going to annoy the shit out of you. They want to get the people to test out games before they buy them, which is going to really make people mad. Because they're gonna like save Sea of Thieves, or not Sea. Yeah, we'll call it Sea of
Yeah.
Thieves. Initially, people would not have been happy with that purchase,
Right.
Or Anthem.
Or Anthem.
Oh, Anthem.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work out for them, but it's kind of reminds me of a leapfrog scenario.
It's exactly what I was just thinking
where
of.
you're going to have people coming in and they're going to have LAN parties and they're going to have people just dropping in saying, you know what, I want to play. I mean, right now, on the rise are kind of.
So in Japan, in
Yes,
other
thank you.
Asian
I can't
countries, they
remember what
have
the damn shop's
internet
called.
cafes.
Internet cafe, yep.
Yeah, and that's a huge deal where you can go and you can spend money to spend time on a machine.
See, our version of an internet cafe was Leapfrog.
Correct.
But that was just powered by Balls energy drink, and I was just flipping out on Gears
Balls
of War
energy
2.
drink and Xbox 360 is what that
Dude,
was.
we spent so many weekends there. It was insane. It was a great time. But, you know, it's actually a good market. Those are there's a bunch of those starting to pop up all over the place. I was actually thinking about like, hey, maybe we could start our own. I think we would actually enjoy that.
You and I should talk off air about our buddy Creston, what he wants to do.
Yeah, see, I'm truly feeling that because I'm like, this experience is what I've been missing. The couch co-op. You playing next to your buddy and having, you know, a LAN party. Like, it's gone.
I was gonna say
it's coming back.
It's a lot more than that. Even it's also becoming part of a social circle of people who come in to play games.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
You're surrounded by everybody that loves games.
The internet is very vast, but the idea is like people still go to like board game or
I was just going to say, we have barcades here in Charlotte that we actively
Yeah.
go to
Yeah,
as
yeah.
adults because we want to go hang out and play games.
Well, I'm our second one.
I cheered myself. I want you to know what an accomplishment that is.
Yeah, that's actually a trophy. The good part about this is that with these, they're also going to do retro experiences. So they're going to have CRTVs that they're going to try to go for, so they can do
Really?
older equipment.
So you
so
can
that way
actually
you're
play-
looking at it in fidelity of what it should be.
So you could also play like OG Duck Hunt.
Correct.
Yes.
So if you think about this, GameStop as an organization has purchased a boatload
Yes.
of product from consumers.
Well, not only the product, but land. They have all these stores, and they want to
Yeah.
be able to utilize them correctly.
And so, how would you like? What is the best way to utilize both your store space
you know what? I
and
feel
that
like
product
we've had
space?
this conversation.
Oh, it's
before.
almost like we mentioned they
Deja
should do this
vu.
before.
It's like they should have hired us and just paid us for our idea.
We're
You know, I
cheaper
think-
than the marketing company.
I want to
by the
look
way.
at these views and see if they actually watched us or something. But we even talked about them going as far as like Magic the Gathering or
Yeah.
Pokemon
Yeah.
tournaments, something with even card-based games, because they would be able to sell these items
Yep.
in store while also having competitions. They're also wanting to have competition sessions with homegrown e-leagues. So they're starting to try to really get people
Interesting.
into the store playing these games, playing on high-end equipment, both PC, PS4, Xbox, the whole gamut.
See, they've kind of missed their mark here. What they should have gone for early on, anyway, if they'd have seen this coming,
Yeah.
was stepped into the esports market from
Oh,
the beginning.
100%,
Like,
yeah.
host the events because you had the physical locations to do so, and at
what-
one time you had the capital to do so.
If GameStop was smart, and to be put this bluntly, what they need to do is actually get into the marketing center with video and audio and get into the esport things and start streaming them on their Twitch, getting it in their stores
Yeah.
and pushing merch, getting deals with these people, these teams to push this merch.
I think that's an avenue.
Yes, absolutely.
yeah,
It's a next step thing.
But
the idea
But
is
getting
they could
people
just
inside the
expand
store
further on
is
this.
like
Yeah.
the biggest hurdle.
So like
Right.
here in the university area of Charlotte, North Carolina, we have one store.
Oh, we're
Save
getting
Point
more
Games.
specific now. Oh wow! Look at this. We're
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
closer.
Ooh, ooh. You might find us one day. Ooh.
Come get me back.
We have a store next to a Harris Teeter. It's called Save Point Games.
Yeah.
I go to Save Point Games more than any other gaming like store
They have a fun retro selection.
annually because they not only have a nice, cool retro selection, they have old arcade machines that I can go and take my quarters to and play a little bit of old X-Men.
Yeah.
A side-scroll X-Men game. Huh.
It's
hot
bad.
Stuff. But they also offer a bunch of
I
products.
enjoy that experience.
And then they also offer themselves, they have tournaments where it's,
Mm-hmm.
it's similar to what we're discussing here. And I know the branding, it's a buzzword, esports. It doesn't need to be that, though.
No.
It just needs to be,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
every Wednesday at GameStop, we're hosting an event.
Brand
It's
their
Mario
own
Kart.
version
It's
of esports.
Smash.
Right, but I mean, if they want to use the buzzword, the idea is they can host their
Yeah.
own esports events, essentially, to have just local crowns
Oh,
for people
absolutely.
who win, like in a community.
GameStop needs to make their own team.
Win a $50 GameStop
They have
gift
the
card.
backing. They have the branding. All they need to do is make their own team for things like Call of Duty, League of Legends, and get people into there, training, having their own competitions to go into these
They're more of
esport
the-
leagues.
I think
Shameless
they're more
plug, Exchange Gaming has its own Call of Duty team that'll be in Miami, Florida.
Yep.
starting this Friday.
Starting this Friday.
17
Keep
seed,
an
baby.
eye on the channel for that. And of course, our
COD World League
Discord.
Miami. Yeah.
Anyways, back to our show.
Yeah, good plug. Anyway, so with this idea in mind, they didn't talk about anything with like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon card games or
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that, but I think that is another avenue at which they would
Right. I mean,
benefit
video
from.
games has always been their focus, and I
Yeah.
get that.
But if your goal is to get butts and seats and people in the store, then
go through different
anything.
avenues to get people in
Do
there all the
100%,
time.
yeah.
And they did a good job of that with the merch that they've been doing lately.
Yeah.
They've actually only survived because of this.
Think Geek, man, that purchase of Think Geek has saved their butt.
Yeah, in a real way. So in the world of
Happened to all of us.
in this world of a digital age, they're trying to find a way to keep it real. They're trying to keep it in the real world. Like, and I understand that. I like that. I like having these communities. Not in the 80s. God, don't put me back there. But I think they're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
This is something they had to do in order to survive.
Oh,
we
100%.
talked about this. We knew this was the ultimate objective. And honestly, if they do this right, I would almost be willing to say I would put money in stock in this if they start going in the right direction.
And that's the big question. Is it too little too late?
No, I don't think so. I think they can recover. And I do believe this strictly because of the esports league and because of the things that they're talking about. We as people go to a party to go play these games.
Yes.
To go play pinball, to go play old school retro games. We'll have this.
Killer Queen.
Thank you. I was just about to say that.
Say what?
Killer Queen.
Oh,
Oh,
dude.
my-
Queen. Yeah, that
Yeah,
thing is
oh.
nasty. Also,
I've been
think it's
thinking
now
about that
available
literally
on
the whole
Switch.
time.
Not yet. It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely check that game out. Super fun. Oh my god.
You have to find very select locations that have it, though.
Yeah, it's got three
coming to Switch
screens
and
on
Xbox
it. It's
One.
sick nasty.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
It's got a
Killer
screen
Queen
up
Black.
top for everybody else to see.
Oh, so
We're all
good.
drinking, and then you got the two teams that are playing against each other.
We digress.
It is person. It is not a digression.
Sidebar.
That is a progression, sir. But on the same point, like I just wanted to bring this up again because we talked about GameStop. Oh, I was waiting for the catch. I'm waiting for GameStop to come back because I'm afraid of the physical media dying. I truly am. I believe that's going to be putting us into a position of gamers and lovers of physical media at risk. You were talking about earlier how Vita is at risk. I'm going to get 64 gig cards just to put all my games on because I'm afraid you're going to screw me.
Yep.
Yeah, that is real. That's not going away, and it's not going to.
As a matter of fact, anybody who ever bought a ebook on Microsoft phones or their platform to purchase ebooks lost them.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah.
That is a reality that can happen at any moment.
Yeah. The server, oh, well, we need the server space. Goodbye.
Yep.
This is inundated.
Yeah, something like Epic Games pulling Rocket League off of Steam because they decide they're going to put it on their own Epic store, make it free for everyone.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
again,
I'm
the
sorry.
retardation of companies is not going to ever stop.
I don't have strong feelings.
They're doing whatever they have to survive. So I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything because we just went total tangents here.
It was great.
They want local video game competitions too, stuff like Smash
Yeah.
Brothers.
Exactly.
Super
Yeah.
competitive.
There it is, yeah.
Awesome.
That's what I'm saying.
But like king of your locale, not just like
correct.
of the,
Only that,
the
but you have the
nation or
Killer
whatever.
Queen stuff too. That I would actually enjoy. I mean, like, hey, if they get a liquor license and they do an Abari style thing, holy shit, they're gonna win. You win hands down.
Yes, I
Yeah, oh,
agree.
yeah.
But if you don't go that far, if you just have every Wednesday night at a GameStop near you, doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter where in the United States you are, if you find a GameStop on a Wednesday night, they're going to have a competition of some sort. And
But
you
the
can
problem
be
is
there.
they close at 9. They put themselves into a corner. I'm like, you have a set of real estate.
Yeah.
Use it. If
Yep.
you have to make your store transformable from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock in order to make it usable between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, do it. Make that real estate work for you.
Survive. We want to see you survive, is what we're
And to
saying.
be honest, I don't have a love for GameStop. They didn't give me a there's a couple of really good conversations I had with people who love video games that work there, and you could tell they do. Dude, I talked to some people there by my house. They just love talking about video games.
Yeah.
To a point where they're like, I gotta go to work, and I'm like, yeah, cool, no big deal, and you just move on. But I don't want that to go away.
Agreed.
I did enjoy that experience, but I mean, I started losing the need to go.
The manager here at the University GameStop is probably one of the coolest managers I've met because you can walk into the store at any time. She's there. She knows her shit. She's not just like, I'm a manager at GameStop. Like, guaranteed. Like, I walked
You're
in.
working today, buddy.
I walked in to pre-order. Not really.
No, trust me, we've had worse.
Yeah. To pre-order.
The worst one was
I'm
fuchsia.
still doing better than Brent.
The worst one was fuchsia.
You mean
Oh yeah.
fuchsia? I rewatched that episode today.
Anyway.
I walked in to pick up my Spider-Man pre-order, and the line was wrapped around the building. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, oh, 2K19, that's the night. Like, you don't play 2K? That's my game. I play that every year. I've played every year for the past 10 years. I can name every single person who's on the cover. Like, she knows her stuff. So
Man.
passionate people do work at these
Oh,
stores.
yeah.
It's a corporation, yes. That doesn't undermine the
People
employees
make this
that you can find
corporation
there.
too.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Now
And-
they are Mormons, but
and so, if they can build themselves off of this, if they can rebound, I agree entirely. Success is in their future.
Yep.
They just have to actually double down on the people who come in their store.
Right.
They need to treat it like an actual, like, this is a home, this is a community, this isn't just a retail store.
See, the last time I really felt that from a GameStop anyway, this was college. So it was the release of Halo 3 ODST.
okay.
Okay.
So it was what, 2000
Halo 3 or ODST?
ODST.
Okay.
It was titled Halo 3 ODST.
That's right.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Because it was Halo 3 engine, just different.
I always knew
storyline.
it as
Anyway,
ODST.
And it's also
So-
a similar timeline. I don't know. It's in there.
right. So yeah, because we're based around Master Chief and all that stuff when it was happening. Anyway, so the most memorable moment I had from a GameStop anyway, as far as a community was concerned, GameStop literally. I don't know if you guys remember the one out in the backside of University that was part of
Over
like
near
the
Zapatas?
storefront there near Boardwalk Billy's.
Yep.
So there was a vacant shop that was directly to its left that would
I think it's
extend
still
it from
vacant.
like where it is all the way to the corner.
2009 for our audience's perspective.
2009.
We
must've been-
when
old,
the game
bro.
came out.
That must have been
is
Halo 4
a
then.
decade.
Anyway,
That is a decade.
yeah, no, it was Halo 4. The only reason I remember this is because they had the online multiplayer going into local LAN. They rented out the entire shop next to it for the night
Oh, yeah.
to put Halo 4 on like 10 consoles across the entire room
2012.
to allow everyone to play ahead of time on release night while you were waiting for your number to get called so you
see,
could go up
that
and
is
get the
incredible.
game.
That is
And
awesome.
I want to tell you, there were 100 people
Yeah.
standing in the parking lot, in the room, waiting for your number to get called to go play or to go in to get your disc. and get out.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah, that's
because
how it should
everyone
be.
was just nerding out
Yeah.
together, and it was a real community event.
That's
The last
incredible.
time I remember standing in line in the cold was for a Halo game. The last time I went for a midnight release, I was like, "There's no one here. I'm the only one." And I looked at them, and they're like, "Yeah, this is probably the last one." I can't even remember the game, to be honest. But I was just like, this was actually a part of the fun.
Yeah, that was the only midnight release I had really gone to, or whatever, just like period or whatever, and that was honestly the most memorable one. But it
Yeah.
was one of the last to see.
So one, Halo used to be popular. That's weird. Zing. Two,
Rude.
the one I stood out in the cold for,
Shots
the
fired.
last one I stood out in the cold for was Arkham Asylum.
Ooh,
And I brought that home and plugged it in and played for like 30 minutes. I was like, I got it back.
I think I was with you on that night.
You were. However, I have gone to GameStop recently, and like again, that same university store, the one we have just all been talking about, they've just gotten a better system now, where you go in. So the day of
Yeah.
release, you go after 5 o'clock, and you get a number, and then they just line you up by number. So
It's like boop, boop,
and
boop,
instead of midnight, it's now 9 o'clock.
No
When
one
the
even has to come into the store. It is literally like you sit there and they hand it out the door.
When the store closes, it is now time for pre-orders to go, which is incredible. So
Interesting.
yeah, they've refined that aspect, but I think it has lost the glamour. I mean, we're all here discussing how much more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember the first time I waited for an online midnight release, and the only memorable piece of that
You're
was
just like it's
pre-downloading, and then it was like 12.
it's like being on a New Year's by yourself at home. You're like, whew, this is great. Okay, I'm going to play the game now.
Battlefield 2142. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the very first online midnight release I was there for, and that was it.
But let us know what you think. Would
Yeah.
you consider going to a GameStop and competing in such events? Would you
Even
care
tell
about
us
a
your
community?
good stories of you waiting
Yeah.
outside.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
had one or
Absolutely.
something like that. It
Do you
doesn't
have-
have to
do
be
you have a
GameStop.
memorable-
It could be a mom and pop shop, whatever it is.
Yep.
And always remember, the comments are like a clock, except today it's reverse clockwise, so it's that way. Somewhere over there
Except
by
you're
Mark.
still spinning the same
it doesn't
direction you
matter.
usually do
Does
every
it
week.
really
Half the
matter,
one,
Mark?
if they're drinking with us, they're getting
Below.
nauseous.
That's all I needed to hear was blow me. Anyways, moving on to my topic of the show.
I think we broke John.
I would like to talk about adding NPC usage to online multiplayer games. So for a little bit of a backstory here, the newest update for Final Fantasy XIV, which is an online game I'm trying really hard to not get into because I love Final
It's
Fantasy.
expensive.
It's expensive. But Shadowbringers is this new update. And in this new update, they added what they're calling trust dungeons. And so trust dungeons are, you're allowed to run through these dungeons with NPCs of the game. Now, up to this point in the game, you have run alongside these characters in cutscenes, but they've never actually fought with you. So, for anybody who doesn't know, Final Fantasy XIV is an MMO. So, like, that's why this is kind of a weird take, is that you're basically going, hey, I'm going to take on dungeons alone because I don't want to play with people. Now, the caveat here is that, one, the characters themselves are characters that you care about. They're involved in the story. They've been around forever. And now they actually have a little bit of context in which, like, one of them is a black mage. You get to see them actually use magic. One of them's a healer. They heal you. So you actually get to see them interact with you. So it adds
Interesting.
another layer where you kind of care more about them.
Right.
Two, they interact with the dungeon and talk. So they narrate for different portions of the dungeon while you're walking through it. Also pretty cool.
Yeah.
Three, there's no griefing whatsoever because they're NPCs. And then four, one of the bigger problems with MMOs specifically, and online games in general, I mean, you see it with Division in their raids, you see it with Destiny 2 in their raids, is the fact that people who are brand new, who have not necessarily run through the gamut, are kind of stumbling. They don't understand the quirks, the mechanics, or whatever the situation is. You now have the chance to kind of run through it by yourself. You get to preface before you go and join other people. So this had me thinking, why don't more games do this? And not strictly with MMOs. Like there are
Actually, if anything, I'd say MMOs do a good job of it.
So I have never heard of this before.
RuneScape, World of Warcraft.
Okay, when can you use NPCs in those? See, this is very enlightening.
You
to me.
mean to assist you in things?
Correct.
So like RuneScape, I remember specifically. The only reason I remember this is
You mean
because I
as
actually
a DLC only?
No. Like it was added in this update. It's for everything.
he's just talking in general.
Yeah.
But I remember with RuneScape anyway, you would interact with the NPCs, but the NPCs would literally walk you to a particular location sometimes to tell you where to go. Especially on the introductory island or whatever, which you were on with other people. Like, it was still part of the MMO experience anyway.
Yeah.
You would still walk from place to place with some other guide that was with you or interacting with you in some sense. If you were in a dungeon anyway for a quest that you were trying to complete, you were in there by yourself with the NPC. Now, a lot of them were fewer and farther between because after you got to a certain point, you were pretty much on your own to be able to do certain things. But I felt like a lot of the introductory ones were like, go here, talk to this person, or let me guide you to this, that kind of thing. And most of the stuff was pretty easy. Take this to this person, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, let me go into this deep, dark dungeon where there's 25 different ways you can possibly not end up in the thing you're supposed to fight, and then suddenly you have to fight it, but
So-
you need that guidance or whatever.
So from my understanding, that's what this is. This is not so much a, hey, we're going to guide you towards the goal, so much as, hey, if you want to run this by yourself and figure it out, you can.
Interesting.
Assassin's Creed uses NPCs for stuff like that with the training system.
But they don't have they don't have a real online mode. I'm talking more along the
No,
lines.
there was with Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not the same, I would argue.
No, it's not.
Yeah. I think back to a Vita
was actually
game
Brotherhood.
called Killzone Mercenaries. And Killzone Mercenaries came out. It was hailed as like one of the best first-person shooters for the handheld. Arguably still is.
Yeah.
Fantastic game. It's actually really well done.
Interesting.
It also has an online mode. However, because of the Vita base and the amount of people who are purchasing and playing the game, it was hard to find matches.
Yeah.
So the developer went ahead and built in a bot mode that you can download for free and allows you to play the online mode because there's online trophies. You have to play that mode to get the platinum. So in order to ensure that no matter what, people got to play it, they built this mode. And I just kind of wish developers would think more about this.
They don't care about trophies like we do.
It's not just the trophies,
Yeah, I
though.
know.
Like this idea of this MMO, because my biggest problem right now is time. So I don't want to go and try and devote myself to time to a game in which I have to plan around other individuals. John and I struggle to play Division 2 at the rate that we play Division 1 these days.
Yeah. It's really sad because, we play in longer spurts than we did with Division 1,
Correct.
to be fair.
But, having that capability of just going in and being like, cool, I want to play alone. Like, Division handles that by scaling. So I can go and play Division 2 completely by myself and be fine. I took down a checkpoint incredibly easy. And then John joined me. And I was like, okay, I guess it's definitely scales with more people. And so that's another route to take. But I just found this approach very kind of refreshing and honestly turned me on to want to try and take on this game because an MMO in and of itself is a time sink. More so than arguably any other type of game out there.
Right.
Ooh.
I mean, the whole point is that it's multiplayer. The whole point is that
Yeah.
you're supposed to be doing it with other people. But the issue is that if you're playing the game by yourself and you don't have a group of friends to go join
Correct.
with, short of jumping on Reddit to try to find some other group to go with.
Or hope they have some sort of
Community on board.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
like some matchmaking system
Thank you,
anyway
matchmaking.
to put you all together. I mean, but even then, you don't know who you're going to end up with. And trust me, having played Rocket League duos lately, there's a lot of like unfriendly people that you get matched with
Yeah.
because that's just the nature of online.
Well, doesn't Realm Royale do that? They use bots and stuff like that for Realm Royale, right?
They do, but not part of your team. Not as an assistance to you as an opponent, you'll find them.
Okay.
Just to better fill the maps.
Gotcha.
I just found the concept interesting. I was wondering if anybody else thought this was something that, because to me, it's a nice additive. It's not required if you don't want to use it. Again, much like the Killzone example I utilized.
Yeah.
As I guess a gamer who enjoys, I guess, certain games that are a little bit more, I want to call them niche, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like my simulators and that kind of thing. Like I like my tediousness. I like my precision, that kind of thing. I like to be able to refine myself into something, that kind of thing. So I enjoy something like that where if I had an AI system, for example, that was actually good enough to assist me in certain ways anyway, where I wouldn't have friends to join me in that kind of stuff, or would have AI to actually join me in an online system, because I do like the interaction with actual people. It makes it feel very real.
Yeah, of course.
But I may not have the real people that I want to interact with in that online scenario. It would be nice to have that. I agree where you're coming from here. That's very good. It's a good thing to see anyway. And
Yeah.
I'd like to see the progression more with more developers.
Well, and I was just thinking, like, again, our Division 2 example, because that's the latest game we've been playing online together, is like, it would be wonderful if it was, hey, I could take the raid on with 7 other NPCs. Like,
Yeah.
and I could try it out, and I can let you know, because I have the time this week do a little research, and then we could plan together to take it on together.
But the problem is that would almost defeat the purpose of. I think it's weird that they have that you need to have 2 teams and not have a matchmaking process. That blows my brain out.
So there's logic behind it. So for context, Division 2 has a raid that requires 8 people. The normal game only allows you to make squads of 4. So that means you have to know 2 squads worth of people in order to take on the raid.
And that doesn't happen naturally without you putting out feelers for
again,
real.
that's what I'm saying is Reddit.
Yeah. And apparently it's incredibly difficult. Like
Which we found someone who is super colorful.
let's not talk about him right now. I've already talked about him today.
Yeah. He's a stressful person.
He's stressful more than anything else.
Okay.
Whoa,
I really want to quote him, but it's not good for the podcast.
Nope, it's not. He would just be like, beep, beep, beep.
I've got a genius level intellect.
I'm just gonna keep my finger. I'm just gonna keep my finger on the Brent key here.
Yeah,
He wants
yeah.
to go for it.
But I think in that context, like of the fact that they have this system in place, they refuse to change it because they've said that. I think
Yeah.
they made a difficulty lower.
They had to with the PS4 because it actually took us like a solid 24 or 48 hours
72.
to get 72 hours.
72 hours for
3
the first
days
squad.
longer for the PS4 to actually beat the raid than a PC player.
8 hours on PC.
That's how hard it
72 hours
was.
on PS4.
So we couldn't
Oh my
even.
gosh.
Yeah, we couldn't even do it 4-man if we wanted to.
Yeah.
because you need 8 people.
And so, with that in mind, I would love the ability to at least run through it because there's never going to be a time in which we're going to find it.
And I don't want to play with an individual anymore.
And so I just found the concept refreshing and interesting. And quite frankly, makes me want to play Final Fantasy 14 more.
Dude, you're going to end up spending like $150 just to get where you want to be, bro.
Sweet Prince.
That's nasty.
But I would be curious in and of itself, like what you think about NPCs involved in these online games. Because obviously there's a reason you're playing online. I don't
yeah.
want to take away from that concept. But as a means of like holding you off.
We saw how much it
between.
improved Fallout.
Real people make it
76.
feel real, but real people suck.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
But that's one of the things that Ubisoft actually really fails at for the most part is NPCs. That they fail with the voice
You haven't played Assassin's Creed Odyssey yet.
and that's for a reason because it's a trash game.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding. I don't like that. I haven't played it.
Good.
I
Clip
can't
that out. Send that to Brianna Benson. She'll murder you. John is who I meant that to. I looked at the
Yeah, I
camera
know.
and said, "She'll murder you."
Yep.
I wasn't talking to you, dear listener, dear viewer, person.
Move on.
Please let me know what you think about NPCs involved in online multiplayer games in the comments above me. It's slowly moving to where John is actually. It's going in reverse order.
Me.
Mark said it goes the same way, but it's a different way, didn't I? But I think it's time for last call.
Insane.
Last call!
I was waiting for you to start it.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. It's time for us to retire because obviously we are done for the day. Looking at all of my notes here that look so pretty.
And
Again,
small.
we have a group of individuals from the Strange Gaming Network that are competing Call of Duty in Miami. Marcus,
Good luck, boys.
Call of Duty World Leagues Miami. They actually, as of the time that they're releasing this, they should be competing.
Yeah.
yeah,
They're supposed to be competing around this time frame. So keep an eye open for that. I'm sure we'll have updates on the Twitters.
Hopefully they get to the World Championship. That'd be great.
That would be
Check us out.
wonderful. They're 17th, right?
Yep.
Yep. So they're
17th seed.
They're on their way.
17th seed was what Dylan told me, and
They need to get
top
16.
16 proceed to Worlds,
Yeah.
like
See,
to the actual
there you go.
world event.
Keep an eye on our Discord, our Twitter, and of course the YouTubes, because I'm sure we will talk about it here
Of
at
course.
some point
The
in time.
tubers.
Moving on, we have our streamer of the month, which is Resilience. Still, that was mean.
He's resilient.
Yeah, he is
in
very
streaming.
resilient. Again, RESI1IENCE. Once again, if you join our Discord, it gives you notifications for any time a streamer goes online, and he plays quite a bit of Realm Royale alongside
And
some
you can
other
talk to any psychopath
Apex,
you
that kind
want
of stuff.
to.
including us. It's great. Once again, this is the last week for the PlayStation Humble Bundle. This is an indie-based bundle. It has Inner Space, Layers of Fear, and a couple of other interesting games, including. I
did
totally
look at
forgot.
it right before.
I totally forgot. It is a game made by
Chinese room?
no. Oh my God! Tim of Legend makes Psychonauts, and he makes other games.
We talked about
Double
this earlier.
Fine Studios. It's a
Yep.
game I done. Broken Age. That's the name. Wow, my brain had to do gymnastics for that.
Which was
just for
also
you.
available on PlayStation Plus.
If you missed it on PlayStation Plus, you can pick it up here along with 8 other games. $15. Well worth the money, in my opinion. And of course, we are still looking for your pins on a game night.
Yeah.
We have gotten one comment in which they've recommended that I play Bloodborne, and I refuse to play Bloodborne. So please
I want
save
no
me
one else to
from
reply.
this hell.
Please,
Let him play Bloodborne.
just if you're
Because-
going to reply, only reply with Brent
Bloodborne.
playing Bloodborne.
If we're going to play Bloodborne, we're going to switch the controller around every time we die. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to drink, too. It'll
That's
be-
fine.
Yeah, I'm down. Anyways,
oh gosh,
It's gonna be horrible.
it is
This
time to
could
move
be
on
so
to our
bad.
question of the week.
Ooh, what's it this week, buddy?
It's actually pretty straightforward.
Okay, because I had
What?
one if you want it.
Is the worst job you've ever worked?
We should probably have another one. Worst job? Oof. Worst
So,
job?
the
You really
worst-
want me to go there, Brett?
The worst job I have ever worked was after college when I graduated, and I worked as a cook / chef, if you want to call it that, at a daycare center. And it wasn't a bad job. It was just
Daycare
more
center.
stressful than it needed to be. Yeah, a child care center. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself.
It's
We
had
don't
to
oh,
have
yeah,
have
but
the
no, but
same-
I get it. But
Yeah,
like,
100%. Yeah. So I worked in a church basement in a kitchen that didn't have an oven. It had a microwave and a toaster oven.
What?
Yeah.
We
and it had-
both did the same job, by the way.
Correct. And it had to prepare organic food for the children. It was 4 classrooms that equated to roughly
Dude, these
80
people
students.
wanted
Oh my-
quinoa.
Yeah.
They wanted kiwi. They
Listen.
wanted the
Listen.
world organic milk.
I cooked scrambled eggs via microwave, and they were like, wow, this is really good. I'm like, I know. I know what I'm doing.
I literally, because he was there before me, I had to learn how to do what he did in order to make things work. And then these brilliant people wanted to redo the kitchen. They wanted to give me a real kitchen so we can give them a real meal, right? And I was like, that's cool. Even though, which by the way, they had a full-on kitchen upstairs.
Here's the worst part. The church had a full-on kitchen.
They refused to let me use it.
Per the rental agreement, we were not allowed to use that kitchen.
What?
Yeah. And when I talk about
Retarded.
a full-on kitchen, they had a flat top, 2 ovens,
Mm-hmm.
like giant sinks for cleaning, like everything.
Like a communal set.
Correct.
A communal kitchen is what
This
they
is
have.
the best part. So they were going to go do all this, right? And then they figured out what the price point was, and they're like, oh, we can't do that. But the worst part is they had to get it inspected. And because of that, they realized that my sink was too shallow.
Ding, ding, ding. Almost like a problem.
Wow.
Yep. So therefore, they had to pay more money anyway, and they didn't even did anything out of it.
So that would be my worst job. I was there for,
About a year and a half.
no, it was less than that.
Wow.
Because we did the Camino. Came back in July. I started in
Of
July.
2012 or 13?
13.
Okay.
Did the Camino.
Because I graduated in 2012.
Oh, no, you didn't. I
Yeah, I was
graduated in
working
13. And then we both started back after the Camino because you weren't working there beforehand.
Okay, that's true. No, I did. I started working there right after because I quit to
No,
go
you,
on the
you
Camino.
worked at the other one.
No, I'm sorry. I worked there right before we went to the Camino. I was working there
You worked
previously.
at the other center.
Yes.
Yes. There you go. I know John's
Sorry.
history better
There's
than he
2
does.
centers we
Yeah.
worked at. They were both equally horrible.
All right.
But I was there for 9 months, and then I moved on to
They were
Wells Fargo,
horrible.
which was also a terrible job.
It's stressful, dude. Dealing with parents it sucks.
Dealing with kids sucks. There's
No,
nothing
kids
worse.
are great, dude.
No,
Wilson.
no.
Wilson.
Wilson's amazing. I do.
Dude, that kid is a
Oh my
brainiac
God.
on wheels.
And there's nothing that seen his goofy smile. You're like, oh, okay.
I
You
saw
make
him
it all
stick
better.
his finger in the door, and I was like, "Whew, that's a learning experience."
Thomas, okay? Yeah, I checkmate. I have an answer. There's nothing worse than the 4-year-old
Snow.
at 8 a.m. screaming, "Ah!" running down the hallway. And you're like, okay, Thomas, time to go to your classroom. And the dad just be like, this is just Thomas. I'm like, no, it's not just Thomas. It's you. It's you. You know better than that.
It's always the parents, dude.
God.
Brent's a little
Oh, yeah.
sensitive if you can't tell.
When, dude, that dude pooped his pants.
We need to stop. We need to stop.
No, this needs to be told. This needs to be understood, parents. Because the parents were on my side. The parents are on my side. This child is more than old enough to be potty trained. He is like in the area at the time, and he pooped his pants, looked at me, and smiled. This evilish grin as if, let the world burn.
Oh, God, I wish I hadn't taken a swig before that.
And then I looked at him and I was like, I equally want to watch the world burn.
Specifically, your world.
Yeah.
He didn't enjoy the next few hours. And his dad's like, good. I wanted this. And I was like, good.
We beat him.
Nope,
What was
that happened. That did not happen. Child abuse did not happen. Jesus God, Brent, I'm not going to jail for you.
This is all recorded, by the way, just
Yeah.
in case you didn't know this conversation was recorded with the
he pooped
microphones
his
and the
pants
camera and
and he
everything.
was very uncomfortable in the summer heat for about 15 minutes. And he was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm like, yeah, you're old enough not to poop your pants.
Oh gosh.
What about you there, Marcus? We should move real quick to the other person.
Shoot, man.
Oh gosh. I'm trying to think of which one. Like I haven't had a tremendously terrible work experience. I've had tremendously terrible customers
Okay.
Ooh.
from work experiences.
Yeah.
Specifically working at a Walmart
Oh, yeah.
because I worked the overnight shift as a receiving associate.
Aren't you the best?
So I was responsible for the toy and electronics sections at the same time. So like I would have pallets that would be rolled out to me anyway to stock shelves and whatnot. And that was a pretty basic part. But the thing is that we were a 24-hour Walmart. So like I'd go around and I'd have to help people with things if they'd ask questions and whatnot. But I couldn't do anything that was associated with the register back there or anything that was in the locked shelves.
Okay.
That's good.
No guns.
No, I wasn't responsible.
Those
for
aren't
sporting
locked,
goods.
actually.
Yeah, no, anybody could just go back, just grab a box and walk out,
Yeah.
on shelves or whatever. Anyway,
Almost like that might be a problem, Walmart.
But it's not. We shoot them when they have airsoft guns.
That's a throwback to a news story from 4 years ago where a gentleman entered with an airsoft gun. Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Good.
Regardless.
Sorry about that.
there was one night. It was literally one night that changed the perspective of what a midnight Walmart looked like for the rest of the time I worked there.
I
So
think that's
it's
true
not
for
quiet
everyone.
and full of drunk
Like,
people.
I don't know what the hell it was, whether it was just the crazies decided to come out that night, but I had 4 people try to steal or do things ridiculously in the same night.
Yeah.
And it was just one after the other. Like I would get one thing on a shelf and then the next thing would happen.
Why are you looking at me?
So the first one was a guy
That
trying
wasn't
to,
a Walmart.
There's a target.
the first one was a guy trying to charge his phone in the wall outlet.
So
Which not a huge deal, but if the manager comes by, I'm going to get a question of like, why are you letting this
Yeah.
happen? You know, that kind of thing. So I had to tell him like, look, man, you can't do that here. You know, that kind of thing. You going to make it?
He got mad at a wall outlet charger.
What?
The manager would, yes.
The manager would.
Why?
Because there's someone, it's a
against-
24-hour Walmart for one.
It's against
The
store
man
policy
needed
to let.
some charge, bro.
It's against store policy to let him do it.
He needs some juice.
Juice. Oh,
But
jeez.
I told him, I said, look, man, you
Nah,
can't. Look, man,
agreeing
you
with
can't
that.
do that here. You know, like my manager's going to come by and ask me the question.
You're such
You
a
guys
piece
are
of shit.
ridiculous. My manager's going to come by and ask me like, why are you letting this
Yeah.
happen? That kind of thing. I was like, I got to ask you to, go somewhere else and do it. That kind of thing. You know, you're going to have to find somewhere else to go. And he's like, come on, man. I'm just trying to charge my phone for a few hours. Kind of thing. I'm like, no,
for a few hours? No.
What kind of phone does he have?
But I was like, no, like seriously, I'm going to get in trouble for this if you come by. Like this was before like quick charging was really
Yeah.
a big
Yeah,
thing.
that's true.
So,
But even then, if you just need a little bit of juice, you stay for 30 minutes, you bounce. Like,
no. He was sitting there playing on it while he was doing it, that kind of thing. And it's not like he plugged it
Oh.
up and left it or something like that, where he had hit it. I might have let that slide because it's sort of like hidden out of the way. It
Yeah.
might look like it's a plug.
Oh, I'm
on
not gonna be a
something.
douche
No,
about
instead
that,
he's
yeah.
standing there. He's playing on it. He's playing games. Texting people,
Yeah,
whatever.
no.
And I'm like, nah, man, look, you're gonna have to go, that kind of thing. And
Go find a Starbucks.
he's like, whatever, man, piss off. And I was like, okay, now I'm gonna call my manager just out of fucking spite here. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
you know,
you're a
like,
dick.
Okay, so I called my manager over and they, escort him out. And in the process of that, I'm walking past with a box to go stock a shelf, and he flips me the bird.
I was waiting for him to punches you in the
and
face.
I heard my manager say, okay, now you're not allowed to come back here. I didn't realize this. Walmart actually, from a customer to employee standpoint, will stand up for their employees in that respect. If you disrespect a Walmart employee, the Walmart managers, now it's up to the individual stores
Yeah.
Yeah.
to ban them. Like they literally get their face put
I've
on
seen
a wall,
They exist.
like where the like everybody sort of memorizes these faces, and they're literally not allowed to come in.
Hey,
If a Walmart greeter sees that person walk into the store, they're supposed to immediately report it to the manager, and the manager will escort them back out again.
This is a lesson. Don't be a dick.
They don't get paid enough to be
Yeah.
a dick too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how much
Oh
should
my
we pay?
god.
Huh?
You willing to disclose that information?
No, it's like way to put the man on the spot.
$12 an hour, $10 an hour.
That's
something
not
like
worth you being a dick to them. Get
Yeah.
over it.
that. It really wasn't. Also, you could try to charge your phone for a few hours.
Just take a hint. Charge your phone. Keep it in sight.
Go
Walk
to 24 hours McDonald's. It'll be fine.
away. There you go.
The second one, that night, same night after this happened, like
Yeah.
almost immediately. As I'm coming back to the front after stocking whatever item on the shelf and talking with the manager after the whole incident, I come back to grab the next item, put it on the shelf, the next box to unpack and put the item on the shelf. And the woman who's responsible for doing the DVDs and CDs, because they have to be organized a certain way and promoted a certain way, she comes over to tells me, hey, by the way, while you were gone, like these girls are walking past, they're like picking up things and like stuffing them in their shirts and that kind of thing and walking away with it. Well, so it's on a
What the fuck, snitch?
It's on a locked shelf, which I don't know if you know this or not. If it's on a locked shelf or a locked rack, as soon as you pull it off that shelf, it's immediately theft.
Oh, wow.
Really?
It's immediately.
That makes sense, yeah, because
Yeah.
you have it secured in the
Right.
fact that it's, yeah.
But
See,
even
the
if-
thing is,
even
that's not fair because I've done that before and
yeah.
I went and paid
You-
for it. No, not that.
Okay.
As long as you go pay for it, they don't care. But the point is, if somebody had seen you doing it and you'd have walked towards the door like you were trying to walk away with it, they technically could call the cops on you and file charges again for theft.
Before you actually reach the
Yeah,
detector.
for misdemeanor theft. They could
We're not
technically
talking
do
about
that.
this on air, by the
Oh,
way.
not at all. No.
But,
It never happened.
Nope.
But so like I'm trying to follow this woman like through the aisles essentially, not in a creepy way at all, of course, to try to like follow this person until the other woman can go get the manager to catch up with me, and I finally find the manager anyway to approach this person. They had apparently already called the police. The police showed up and took care of the whole situation. As I'm coming back, one of the stocking people who's responsible for unloading the truck and loading the pallets up to give to me, they come out and say, hey, I just came out of the restroom and found a busted up package of headphones that somebody had apparently stolen and left the package sitting on the floor.
What the fuck is wrong with
In
people?
the process,
Done that before.
in the process of me doing this.
Yeah.
And the last
Dumb
one
kids.
was a group of girls apparently that were pulling on security strings. This is at 2 in the morning following this, or 1 in the morning following this, by the way.
How old were they? Ballpark it.
20s, early 20s.
Were they drunk?
18 maybe to 22.
Most of them are.
Yeah, they didn't look like they were in the best of
Okay.
conditions.
Okay.
Yeah. But they were walking around apparently pulling on security tags to try to see if something would bust
Happen.
loose easy, kind of thing, and trying to pull on door shelves and that kind of thing.
That's not how security tabs
So
work.
again, somebody pointed it out to me. So I'm just sort of peeking around, and I'm just doing my job, keeping an eye on them, that kind of thing. So I would try to find things that were close to the aisles that they were in, and I had notified my manager of it. So then immediately a broadcast comes out over the intercom that says, "Oh, security police perform a sweep in electronics," and immediately, whoop, all 4 of them.
Oh, wow. They were on there, huh?
Oh yeah, they're as soon as they heard that happen, they were whoop, right out of there.
The moral of the story I'm hearing, Mark, is A, don't be in a Walmart that late at night, and B, you live in a town of narcs. So many people are just like, hey, by the way, so-and-so's happening. I think it was a diversionary tactic so that they could steal bread for their children.
Wow,
What? This got real dark real fast.
Where did that go?
that went into a dark place really fast. But that was probably the worst work experience I had. Not because of the work itself, not because of the place
But,
I worked
yeah.
at, but because of the people who came in at that particular
There's a
hour.
reason there's a whole industry called the people of Walmart.
Please let us know what the worst job you have ever had is in the comments. It's actually to the top of me. I was going to say below me just to make Mark happy, but I can never
Below
do
me.
that. And of
Brett,
course,
you can blow
leave
me.
your own comments below.
What is your worst job? I want to know. What's
Yeah, what's your worst
A
job?
worst
job
Worst
experience?
job experience. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that a lot because you might have had a not so bad job, but had a terrible day shift.
or
night.
even the worst day of your life.
Yeah.
And if it's bad enough, we'll talk about it.
Come on,
right? It's a
shot
diatribe.
We are all enjoying the shot in Felicia.
Yeah.
taking pleasure in other people's pain. We're here for each other. We're a
Now,
community.
I'll tell
to
you
support you.
The juiciest ones are always the revenge stories.
Oh yeah.
Juicy. And until next week, please make sure you subscribe. Join the Discord. We should have a link in the description below.
Hit us up on Twitter.
Hit us up on Twitter
You
because
have
we're
all of our
always
handles
there.
and the Strange Gaming at Strange Gaming US.
Yep.
For Strange Gaming handle down below.
Of course, and feel free to ask us anything. We're always down for a conversation. As you can tell, we're here every week talking. But
you.
until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
That is the longest.